Hello everybody, Barry Johns here, and welcome back to another edition of Studio Talk. Well, this is the next video in my series of videos of performance in the new Mac Mini Pro, M2 Pro, that recently came out in what we do. You know, this audio thing that we do, our home project studios, whether you do audio primarily only or a combination of audio and virtual instruments. Today is going to be showing and demonstrating strictly virtual instruments. I've got several other videos out there that I've done really showing the performance as far as audio is concerned, the number of tracks, plugins, etc., things like that, really trying to max it out now. And today's going to be on virtual instruments, and I'll be demonstrating in Logic Pro. I don't think they call it Pro anymore, just Logic. I'll be demonstrating in Logic using Native Instruments Massive Axe. You know, I own the complete 13 version of that, haven't upgraded to 14 yet, simply because, full disclosure, I don't do a ton of virtual instruments in my particular workflow. I'm a guitar player, and but I do use virtual instruments, but not to the degree that many of you probably do. And so today we're going to demonstrating a maximum number of Massive Axe playback that I could get in 96K. Now, I know a lot of you want to do 44, and maybe I'll do that video as well, but you can get an idea. Now, the purpose of all these videos so far is not to show you a real-world performance. A lot of people are making that mistake, yet I've made it clear in every video really what the purpose of this test is, and that is if you own that particular virtual instrument or you have one that's comparable with it as far as resources, as far as processing power and everything that you need for it, that you could recreate this same session on your computer and then see what you can get. And that way you can get some kind of idea whether or not you're going to get any performance increase out of the new M2 Pro and exactly to what extent you can expect to get. There's no way I can do the real world test out here because so many of you, your real world varies tremendously. So all I can do is give you something that you can compare apples to apples. Okay, so before we get into that, let's go over here to the computer and let's talk about the specs. So here are the specs of the Mac Mini Pro that I'm testing today. It is the base model that sells down here for $12.99. And it is the M2 Pro with a 10-core CPU, a 16-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine. It has 16 gigabyte of RAM and a 512 gigabyte of SSD storage. Now, for the record, I do recommend going with at least a 1 terabyte of storage, and so consider that. All right. This one has 4 Thunderbolt ports, of course, and an HDMI port, along with 2 USB-A ports. All right, so again, you can see there now, there's a lot of discussion out there about the 12-core version upgrading for $300 is really matching what the new Mac Studio is doing. So that's something you need to consider if you're looking at going that far. But today we're demonstrating the base model. So as you can see, we're using the base model of the M2 Pro. Now, I touched on it there. But if you start doing upgrades, let's say, for example, you think you need more RAM, okay, and you go to 32 gigabyte. As I mentioned in there, I think you need at least 1 terabyte of storage. That's my personal recommendation. But then, you know, that's if you need to have a lot of applications and everything. Of course, you can put your samples on an external drive, no problem. But you need to consider that. Now, if you're doing these upgrades, you've got to start looking at how close you're getting to the Mac Studio to determine whether or not it makes sense for you to go with the M2 Pro, with all the upgrades compared to the Mac Studio. And I encourage you to do more research on that. And there's plenty of great videos out there on the tech savvy guys out there who can guide you along the way there. All right. And so let's get into Logic and let's take a look at the session that I've got pulled up, the various examples of Massive, and as well as the settings. So let's go over to the computer now and let's take a look at that. Okay, first up here, I'm going to show you over the global settings for this, where I'm running a 1024 buffer, and I'm using all 6 of my high performance cores. Next, we're going to go over here to project settings, and you're going to see where I'm running this at 96K. All right.
Now let's head back over to the next window, and we're going to go through the plugins. You're going to see I'm running all Massive. The first preset is the Drop Laser preset on Massive X. The next one up is going to be the Bass Suction. And the next one up is going to be, drum roll please, Artocaster. Okay, and then we're going to go to the next track, and you're going to see that, and that is Cruella. Heading over to the next one, you're going to see Empyrean. I guess that's how you say that. And then we'll go over here next, and we're going to see we're using the Machine Kick. And then finally on the last one, you're going to see there where I'm running Snaremint. Now, all of these are duplicated over and over and over, represented by the green, the red, the green, and the red. Just shows where they cut off again. I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to show you how many tracks I was able to get on this. And I could get 87 tracks playing back without any errors whatsoever.
Okay, so the next thing you're going to see is all of the MIDI data and everything associated with this particular track. As I mentioned before, these are just duplicated over and over and over, but you'll get a slight little sampling of the playback on it. It is geeky as all give out, okay? It's not meant to be some masterpiece, and you're only hearing it from the sound of the microphone, okay? But so anyway, we're going to go up to that next, and so let's go over now and let's take a listen, take a watch. Okay, you can see here I'm in the edit window. You can see all the MIDI data. This is all just generic nonsense, just so I've got something, everything's playing back at the same time. So here in a second, we're going to go up and we're going to hit play so you can hear this nonsense. And let's do that now. Okay, while that's playing, you can see that my screen draw, everything's going. I believe I have 87 tracks playing all at the same time here. Scroll up and down, you can see the screen draws are going fine. And so no problem so far. That was the max number of tracks I could get. All right, so finally, next up on this particular part of the video is, I'm sure a lot of you want to be able to see, okay, can I play this back for a solid 4 minutes without any errors? So let's go over to that video where I demonstrate that for you. And yes, we will be fast forwarding it. You don't have to watch it in real time. Just know that I did.
All right, so I'm going to hit play here. In a minute, I'll fast forward through this. But before we do that, I'd like to be able to show you throughout the mixer window where you can see all the instances of Massive I have going on here, as you can tell. And this plays for a little over 4 minutes, I think 4 minutes and 40 seconds, something along that way. But you can see all the playback. Now, as that's playing back, you can see the screen draws are happening super fast. And there were no errors whatsoever. Now, all I had to do is add one more track, and then I would get an error. So I did listen to this all the way through in real time, so I was able to hear it. So there were no pops and clicks, none of that stuff going on. You just have to trust me on that, because this is a very annoying thing to listen to for 4 minutes. I don't think you want to do that. So as this fast forwards, we'll finish this thing up and go to the next thing.
All right, well, that wraps up this particular video. You can come to your own conclusions as to whether or not this is a worthy upgrade for you, or whether you want to hold off and maybe wait till the M3. There is discussion out there on the WWW World Wide Web. Boy, I sound old when I say that, don't I? But anyway, there's stuff out there about the new M3 is about ready to come out with the new iMac. And, of course, the new Mac Pro is about ready to come out. But I think that's going to be beyond the dinero, baby, of people like you and me, that can give you all the ability to expandability and upgrade and everything else that, many of us are used to. But I've certainly have no problem working with these smaller footprints without the expandability. It's been a non-issue for me. I just have a couple of Thunderbolt 4 docks that I use, and yes, there is a difference between a dock and a hub. You cannot get away with that on a hub to the extent that I do. I need a dock, okay? So those are considerations too. The advantage of this over some of the laptops, I happen to be using M1 Pro laptop, the 16-inch laptop, but to be honest with you, I never take it out of its little shell that it sets in over there. I really never use it as a laptop. So certainly there's advantage for this particular new Mac Mini Pro over that, as well as the new Mac Mini itself. there is an advantage because it does give you more ports and everything else like that. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Leave me some comments down below. Tell me what you think, but most importantly, if you like the content I put out here and the work I do for you folks out there, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. So until next time, I hope all of you have a great day. Bye-bye.